Here they are. Hey, so today we are chatting all about the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. It's a medium to full coverage buildable foundation. The formula is meant for normal, combination, and oily skin types, which I am pretty dry, so keep that in mind with this review. This guy comes in 33 different shades, retails for $49, and comes with the standard amount, which is 1 fluid ounce of product. The bottle itself is really quite nice looking with a pump. Hallelujah! This pump is so important because it releases just a tiny amount, which we'll get into how I feel about that later. The shade that I have is Gobi, and it's a fair warm toned shade in case you are somewhere within my skin tone. It is a medium to full coverage buildable type of formula, and it's very thin, although not as thin as, let's say, a water-based foundation. It's much thinner and lightweight than most foundations on the market that I've encountered. There are 33 shades to choose from, and you can purchase them from anywhere that standardly sells NARS, including NARScosmetics.com, Sephora, Ulta, Bloomingdale's, Selfridges, Barney's, Macy's, etc. It is made in the USA, and as some of you may know, NARS is no longer considered cruelty-free because they started selling in China. Some of the claims that NARS has made about this foundation include very long wear, including being sweat-proof, actually sweat-resistant and transfer-resistant, as well as having a radiant finish, partially due to the raspberry, watermelon, and apple extracts in the formula. It is supposed to have high coverage without feeling weighty on the skin. Francois NARS always talks about how the coverage is not meant to truly cover, but enhance your skin's features, stuff like that. And I am so on board with that mentality. It's supposed to have a very blendable type of formula, aka easy to use, very emollient and movable before it sets. They also claim that it's supposed to look better throughout the day. So as you wear it, over the hours that you wear it, it's supposed to look better and better. And I'm assuming that has to do with skin producing natural oils, giving it more of a radiant look and sink more into the skin throughout the day. Also talk about how the formula has a translucent base with pigments in it that are supposed to sort of self-adjust or mimic your own natural skin tone so that you have superior, more accurate color matching. So yes. The website also mentions that this was formulated without any alcohol, parabens, oil, and fragrance. All things looking up. It's also supposed to be non-comedogenic. So, as far as my opinions go, I went from not being the biggest fan to really loving this foundation. And my first impressions were that it was a lot less radiant than I hoped. What could I expect? I have dry skin, so it comes off as more of a natural matte on my skin type. I'm sure if you're a little bit oilier, you will have a different opinion on that. But that being said, I do not hate a matte finish, so this foundation just didn't look like how I thought it should sound on my skin type. But I got over that pretty quickly. The biggest thing that made me kind of stop and think if I actually liked this foundation was that it has so much coverage that I think I overdid it the first few times I tried this foundation. It's very easy to go overboard, and the more you go overboard, the more product you put, the more movable the foundation is. I think a lot of what makes this foundation a little bit unique is that it's a very movable type of formula at first. It feels comfortable on the skin because of that, and I think that's where the breathable claims come into light, because it's supposed to be that coverage while feeling lightweight and being very breathable on the skin. From further testing, I've tested this for quite a while now, my conclusions became that I love the foundation when I use small amounts. I get the coverage I need from one single pump, which isn't that unusual with foundations in general, but with this foundation, one single pump comes out to be this much, which is tiny. It's not a big pump at all, but this one pump basically conceals my whole face. It has so much coverage, and it's so emollient and thin, and a little truly goes a long way. I also wonder if it's because of the cone ending products listed in the ingredients, if those are silicone products, and if they can be attributed to giving the foundation a smoothing feeling on the skin. It doesn't accentuate large pores in my opinion, and it also kind of just smooths everything out. It's not as effective as using some true silicone based primers, but it does seem to play well with imperfections of texture in that sense. That being said, when I use too much product, it does tend to settle into fine lines and crease. So my favorite way to use this product is to work it into the skin with my fingers. I find that keeps the high coverage, as well as work it into the skin and make it look so skin-like and natural. Overall, I do agree with the claim that the foundation is very lightweight feeling. No tightness, and I definitely don't feel like I'm wearing a lot of foundation, if any at all. It's very invisible, which I love. I also wonder if those products that I think may be silicone products are what keep the foundation from oxidizing, because I don't find that it oxidizes at all on my skin. So like I said, I do prefer using my fingertips to blend this into my skin. If you're not a big fan of using your fingers on your face, then sponges and brushes work just fine in my opinion. I do think that it is important that you work with one single pump at a time and work in sections if you do need more than one pump's worth, which I think people think they need a lot more than they do, honestly. If you're to use a sponge, it does shear the product out a little bit and you'll get more of a natural medium coverage. And if you use a brush and use a patting motion, I find that builds up coverage pretty gosh darn well. I've used this foundation with all my standard smoothing primers, as well as hydrating primers and long wearing primers. Everything works well. I've mixed this foundation with lots of different foundations as well to change it up. The color is perfect for my skin tone, whether it be from the natural color or the color changing properties of the pigments or whatever. It matches my skin really well. My natural neck, my face, I think it matches really well. One thing to note is that if I use this foundation consecutively for 4 or 5 days, I find that my skin gets very irritated. And I saw online that some people said that they break out from this foundation. I don't know if I have a less severe form of that, but my skin does get irritated if I use it a lot. That being said, I find that that's the case with most of my foundations, except for a few Holy Grail foundations. My skin is just very sensitive, and I tend to not do super well if I use the same foundation for quite a few days in a row. Kind of like people and shoes. Have you ever noticed your feet get really sore if you wear the same shoes for days and days and days at a time? That's how I am with foundation. Overall, I find this foundation to be a big thumbs up for me. I think that it looks absolutely beautiful. When I use it, my skin looks like skin but it covers all my redness, all my breakouts, all my dark spots, and it does not accentuate my large pores, which is one of my biggest issues, and it doesn't accentuate my dryness. So I do love this foundation. I give it a thumbs up, and I love that it has high coverage, and the only warning I will give you is that I think if you use too much, it just goes downhill. So if you have any questions, I will try to address them if you leave them in the comment section down below. So I hope that you enjoyed. I love you lots, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.